Great morning, great morning, great morning. I should have got some tissue. Great morning, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm also going to go ahead and get some tissue. So come on in, you guys. Give you all a chance to slide in as I share. Great morning, great morning. You guys come on in. Come on in. I'm going to grab some tissue. Come on in. Great morning, you guys. Great morning. Come on in. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Sissy. How are you? Great morning. Hey, hey, April. I know that's right, Sissy. Girl, you got to rein it in and pull it together, okay? Regardless of what's going on in your life, what happened yesterday, it's a new day. We got brand new mercies, and God is able. So this morning, God began to deal with me about letting him do the heavy lifting in our life. So often we want to handle everything. We want to take care of everything. We want to fix everything. But some things just require God to do the heavy lifting. Let God do the heavy lifting in your life. There's a part that we play. There's a part that God most definitely is required to play. Tell my little mermaid I said, hey, all right, Jackie. Listen, I don't know if you've ever been in a place where you feel like nothing is coming together. Nothing is coming together. Everything seems like it's falling apart. It seems as though your life is being uprooted and upheaved, right? Well, I went through a year of really rebuilding my life, starting over from scratch. One thing about me is I'm not afraid to start over from scratch. And I always end up better than I was. Like that's just a given for me. That's a known fact, right? My history proves it time and time again that no matter what obstacles I encounter, no matter what comes my way, I'm always going to come out on top, right? But listen, as I was reflecting over the past year, I had several revelations, and I have been intentionally working to kill my saboteurs, those things that get in the way of me pushing through, getting to that next level, that next dimension in God and in my life, right? The reality is we all have saboteurs, and our greatest saboteur is the judge. And the judge is always doing what? judging, judging you, other people, and circumstances. But when I made a conscious decision to really begin to kill the judge, to really begin to empathize and to begin to take the perspective of other people, to begin to allow room for alternate interpretations of things that were happening in my life, I opened myself up to possibility. But what God said is, I need you to let me do the heavy lifting. So when we're going through our transitions in life, when we're going through changes, when we're evolving as a person, maturing and growing has costs associated with it. There's a cost. There's always a cost. There's a cost in terms of relationship. There's a cost in terms of your identity, who you see yourself as and who others see you as, right? There are costs associated with growth, but it's necessary. So if we feel like we're the ones having to do all the work, we're the ones having to do everything, we'll get overwhelmed. We'll get overwhelmed, we'll get frustrated, and we'll give up, we'll quit. Well, the enemy's counting on that. Come on, y'all, we're not giving the enemy that kind of pleasure. It's why the word of God says, he who began a good work in you is faithful and just to bring it to completion until the coming of Christ. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. It doesn't matter how they perceive you. It doesn't matter what they think you are or are not doing or why you are doing it. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you what matters. What matters is your heart before the Father, because he sees all and knows all. So there are no secrets with him. He knows what's in your heart before you ever speak a thing. But the word of God says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when we speak, we're showing our heart. This morning, I was having a conversation with my baby, and I said something to him, and I said, I'm just messing with you. And he said, no, I'm a firm believer that out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And he was absolutely correct. Angel number 133. He was absolutely correct, because that really was what was in my heart. Like, what I said to him was what was in my heart, right? And so when you understand that your heart can't be hidden. It leaks. What's in your heart leaks. It leaks out. And so when we come to God, and we come to God open, and we come to God honest, and we come to God transparent, and we allow him to do the work, then we give him permission to not only reveal our heart, but to work on our heart. See, we need heart work. Heart work. Our hearts need to be worked on. Our hearts are effed up. We've got so much trauma and damage and things that happened from our childhood that we're holding on to. We got all of this stuff that has affected our heart. And now what's in our heart affects how we see the world, how we see other people, all of that. It goes together. So know this. Know this. God has to do the heavy lifting, but you have to lift too. But let God do the heavy lifting. I don't know about y'all, but I know there have been times in my life when I couldn't handle the stuff that was in my heart. Like, I couldn't handle the emotions that I was feeling. I couldn't handle the thoughts that I was having. I couldn't handle it. It was overwhelming to me. Um in December of 2021, after my dad had died, and like I lost everything within the span of a few months, like everything. Like, I literally had to start all over from scratch. I lost my father. My divorce was finalized, even though we had been separated since July of 2020. The divorce was separated that October. My dad died the end of September. A few weeks later, my divorce was final. In December, we lost the car. In January, we had to move out of the house. Like, everything like fell apart within a very short period of time, and it seemed as though life had overtaken me. I'm the type of person, anyone who knows me knows I don't like needing help, and I definitely don't like asking for help. I'd rather just try to figure it out on my own. I'd rather just do without. I'd rather go through whatever I need to go through rather than have to ask anyone for help. Like, it's how I'm wired. it's how I'm wired based on things that I've experienced, disappointments, people doing things for you and then throwing them up in your face. Because let me tell y'all something. I will give people my last. I will do whatever I can do for people, but people don't necessarily reciprocate that. And you just, you know that, right? But the pleaser in me, I'm just going to talk about me for a minute. And if you don't want to hear about me, get off. Just get off right now, because I'm going to talk about me for a minute. Okay. Which some people will say is me being self-centered and egotistical or whatever. I don't give two flying flips. I pray that it helps somebody, because if I talk about you, then you're going to be mad and be like, well, I can't believe she was talking about me. So I'm going to talk about me. Okay. I'm just going to talk about me. So one of my saboteurs is pleaser, right? As a pleaser, I have had a tendency to want to, or feel like I have to earn love, liking, and acceptance, right? Whether it is conscious or subconscious, it doesn't matter. It is the thing that has shown up in my life repeatedly since childhood. Why? Because I felt like I was not wanted. I felt like I was not wanted, that my parents didn't want me. My mama didn't raise me. I felt like, I was a throwaway. We've talked about that before. I'm not dwelling on it. I'm simply making some points. Okay. So, the pleaser in me just wanted to be accepted, just wanted to be loved. That's it. That's all I wanted, was to be accepted and to be loved. Family didn't accept me. Like, it always was some bull, just some bull, right? So I said, well, I'm going to achieve. Like, I'm going to excel at everything I do. Like, I'm going to be a superstar, student. I'm going to, be a great speaker. I'm going to go to college and be successful. And I did all those things. I did those things. Check, 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 check. Right? I did all those things, but I still desired acceptance. And it's interesting, because when you're a pleaser, you don't even necessarily realize what you're doing. Now, let me tell you, and I've talked about this before, but I'm going to throw this out here today. Let me tell you how our spiritual gifts and our saboteurs can impact one another, right? I'm an encourager. It's one of my spiritual gifts. I'm an encourager. I love encouraging people, right? But the pleaser saboteur takes that encouragement, right, and begins to feel like that encouragement is necessary in order for people to like and love me. Am I talking to anybody out there? Are there any pleasers out there? Now, you have a gift of encouragement, but you find yourself encouraging people, not necessarily examining what else is going on with me with this encouragement. I'm always going to be that chick that tells another sister that she's bad. I'm always going to be that chick that tells another sister, girl, you got it going on. Girl, you wearing that. Girl, you did that, right? I'm always going to be that chick. Why? I just wanted that for me. So what I began to do is give people what I desired to receive. I decided that I would be that for someone else. And so I've spent my life going out of my way to be to other people what I wish I'd had. I became a mother to so many people because of what I wished I had. Um, I mentored so many people because of what I wish I'd had, particularly as an African descended woman in higher education. There were things that I wish I'd had, right? I know the stuff that I went through. And so I wanted to help prepare people for what they would go through. I can't stop it. But what I can do is make you aware so that when you see it, you recognize it for what it is and know that this is not about you not being good enough. Because I felt that. Okay. So the pleaser, saboteur, that's been at work in my life, all of my life, as a way of dealing with not feeling accepted, wanted, or loved, shows up as a result of being rejected for whatever reason, right? Um, People mad at me for whatever reason, right? Because there always was a reason, and normally it was because of how I was treated, right? because I was the special one, the chosen one, the golden child, you know? And people didn't like that, right? So I tried to approach life where I want to encourage people. I want people to know that they're amazing just like they are. Not because they did this or because they did that, but just because they are. And it didn't matter, blood, not blood. It didn't matter. Like I was going to try to encourage people. I was always going to try to encourage people. Now listen, as I reflected back and I began to look back at all that I'd learned over the past year, building new relationships with my family that I just found, dealing with relationships with my family that I've always had, I, recognizing and dealing with the reality that there was a whole group of people that I considered family that I was not biologically related to. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And as I look back on the journey, I realized how my saboteurs began to work in the new relationships I was building and the old relationships that I was having to look at and examine in everything in my life. So look, I believe in introspection. I'm very introspective. I'm very self-reflective. um I try to check myself because I don't like nobody else checking me. So I try to check myself. I try to check my heart. I try to check my motives. I try to see what's going on in me, right? And I do that for a reason. I always want to be evolving. I always want to be growing, and I always want to be honest with myself as much as I can, right? Of course, like anybody, I have blind spots that I may not be able to see, but I'm grateful that I have some people in my life that can point out my blind spots, right? So when I'm in a blind spot, I will check my perception with other people. Like, is it just me? Or, like, this is what happened. What's your take on it? Am I off? Am I wrong? Like, give me some insight. Like, help me. Because I genuinely want to live a life that is pleasing to God. Like, I genuinely want that. It's not something I say for the sake of saying it, because, like, my greatest concern is, am I pleasing God? So I had to shift and start to kill that pleaser. Well, what the pleaser does is the pleaser will allow things to happen and not. And then another one of my saboteurs was avoider. So I'm gonna stay in the positive, keep believing the positive, keep expecting the positive, even when everything is really jacked up and I see it and I know it. Like, I would not face it, because I'd be like, no, I just want to stay in a place of peace. I just want to have peace. And in my mind, what I said to myself was, which is one of the characteristics of the avoider, is I just want to keep peace. I just want to keep my peace. I just want to stay balanced. That's all. So I wouldn't say things about stuff. I would allow people to do things and say things to handle me all kinds of ways and never address it. Right. Because I didn't want to upset the apple cart and I didn't want to lose relationship. Well, I'm at a point in my life where if me being honest with you causes me to lose a relationship with you, I'm not being mean and I'm not being sarcastic. But what I am telling you is this, and it's very simple for me. You didn't have no real relationship with me. I remember there was a pastor friend of mine. We had gone through some stuff. When I tell you we went through some stuff, we went through some stuff. We were at his ministry, um, ended up having to leave. I had a conversation with him. I want y'all to hear me. Had a conversation with him and told him, this is what the Lord is saying right now. Da 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 da. And we left, right? Well, after that, all kinds of stuff started happening where people were, listen, one thing about me, tell the truth on me. I do enough ish on my own. I don't need you to add nothing to it. Tell the truth on me. Don't lie on me. But I had someone who was actively telling lies and turning people against me, right? Or would take a piece of the truth and then just pervert it, right? So there were things being said, and I can remember this. This person, and he and I were not cool. We were cool, but we wasn't cool. If you understand what I'm saying. We didn't really mess with each other like that. Our relationship had changed, but when stuff was brought to him, he was like, I don't believe that. You know why he could say that? He knew me. Even though we wasn't messing with each other like that, he knew it didn't sound like me. He knew that. See, what people will do is they'll bank on the fact that people want to believe negative stuff about you. And a lot of people do. A lot of people want to believe a lie about you because they really want the world to see that you're not all that. Oh, they think they're all that. They ain't all that. Listen, I am definitely not all that. What I am is a vehicle, a vessel that God chooses to use. That's it. I am human like everybody else, but I refuse to be stuck in my past. I refuse to allow my flaws and my faults to define me. I refuse any of that. I reject all of that. Like, now that's not who I am. It may be a part of me. It may be something that I need to work on, but it's not who I am. My heart is pure. Now that's one thing I can say. My heart is pure. Listen, I ain't wishing ill. I ain't wishing ill. Because I genuinely want everybody to win. I really do. Even if you've done me wrong, even if you lied on me, even if you mishandled me, I want you to win. I may not F with you like that, but I want you to win. When you are going through this journey called life, you will always have Judases, especially right before you make a major transition. There's got to be a Judas. There's got to be someone who is close to you that betrays you. It's a part of the formula. If you look at the life of Jesus, Jesus's life was an example for us. He began to show us the different, aspects, the different parts, the different stages. He began to show it to us, map it out. Oh, you're going to have haters. You're going to have people that cheer you on. Oh, you the best thing since sliced bread until you're not. They're going to be saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, glory to God in the highest. Listen, they're going to do all of that. And then they're going to say, crucify him, crucify her. It happens, right? You're going to have those people that are with you but don't know you. They're with you and they're looking at you and they're looking at the impact that you have and they're looking at how people feel about you and they feel a way about you. You're going to have that, right? It's all a part of the process. So get over it. Your name can never be made great and you not have to deal with haters or, people who misunderstand you or misinterpret your actions or your reasons for doing things. You're going to have that. Listen, when God says, when God says, let him do the heavy lifting, he means let him handle them. Let him handle them. Let him handle all that. What you got to do is stay focused on your assignment. Does that mean avoid conversations? It doesn't. Does that mean just accept anything in order to please people, to hopefully earn relationship with them, their love, their liking and acceptance? It doesn't. It means that we've got to finally get to a place where we can be honest about the things that we've avoided. We've got to be honest about the ways that we've tried to earn people's love, liking, and acceptance. And we've got to be able to have difficult conversations. The fact that God gives us life and he gives us opportunity to grow and to evolve is a sign that God still yet believes in us. In the word, when Jesus had gone to the temple as a child and Mary and Joseph were looking for him. There was he was at the temple and they were like, he was like, don't you know, didn't you know I would be about my father's business? First of all, sir, you too grown. You 12, you too grown. Stop being grown, right? But after that, you don't hear from him until he's in his 30s. And then what you hear is between then is, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with men. He grew in wisdom, stature, and favor. That means that he gained wisdom, he grew in body, and he grew in favor with men. Okay. Why didn't they share all of those years in between? Well, some would say that you just have to look in the missing books or the lost books of the Bible. There are other books other than the 66 that have been canonized. There are, and there's stuff in them that's valuable. Most people can't handle all of that. We can't handle the 66 books. We definitely struggle handling the other books, right? but all of it tells the story. And one of the problems is we don't want to deal with the humanity of Jesus. We don't want to deal with not just Jesus was 100% God, but that he was 100% human, which means that he was open to human emotions and feelings, that there were things that he too had to work through and process through, that he was not, listen to me, that he was not perfect all the time. Now I know some of y'all are gonna say, "Oh, but he was perfect, he was without fault and flaw and blemish." I hear what you're saying, right? But when you begin to explore the life of Jesus, Jesus too he had to grow. He had to grow. Okay. So listen, don't be so quick to throw people away while they're growing. Don't be so quick to toss people out of your life as they're growing. I'm not saying allow people to violate your boundaries and mistreat you and all of that. I'm just saying, listen, if you love people, love them. Love them right where they are with their cantankerous, nasty, trifling behinds. Like, love them right where they are. Love them. Love them. It doesn't mean that you have to give them access to your life. It doesn't mean that you got to be all involved in theirs. It doesn't. But if you love people, love them. Just love them. Love them if they never say anything nice to you. Love them if they never compliment you. Love them if they never do right by you. Love them. Just love them. And let God do the heavy lifting. Because I promise you, if people have major problems with you and they're not talking to you about their problems with you, there's some heavy lifting in their hearts that only God can deal with. Only God. So it doesn't matter how many conversations you have with them. It doesn't matter how much you try to reach them. Like, it's not going to be dealt with until God deals with their heart. Period. Love them. Anyway, in spite of, you know? Listen, God does that with us. He loves us anyway, in spite of. In our messed up, jacked up state, when we're on in our worst place, on our worst day, he loves us and he's patient with us. And he knows we're going to do some foolishness. We're going to be on that BS, but he loves us anyway. I've come to the point in my life where my expectations of people, like I've had to adjust them. Like I had to stop expecting people to be like I am or to do what I would do or to handle things the way I would handle things or to deal with me the way I would deal with them. 'Cause that's not usually what happens. I had to accept that everybody has different ways of processing information, processing relationships. Everybody has different ways of communicating or not communicating. Everybody has their own stuff. And the truth of the matter is, most of the time, people's stuff has nothing to do with you. Most of the time, their stuff is their stuff that they've had, that they've been dealing with, that maybe they thought they had dealt with, but it still pops up. You might be a trigger. You might trigger it. Last night we were talking about in the no more sabotage class, saboteurs, and my baby's hypervigilance. His score on hypervigilance has increased since we've been together, and it was much lower. When we first got together and he did the assessment, and it increased. Why did it increase? He is with me. And I trigger that for him. Like, I might drive at night, or I might let the gas hand go below half a tank, or I'll stop and get gas at night. All things that make him very uncomfortable because he's concerned about my safety. And so we began to do exploration on, like, where is that rooted? It's always a root to everything in our life. Every saboteur that we have, there's a root in it. And you got to find that root. But there's also a gift in everything. Every situation, every circumstance, there is a gift. So this morning, as I was dealing with some stuff, crafting a message to my family, because I'm really trying to, as I'm preparing to build a new family with my husband, really trying to be clear on my past year, what's going on in my familial relationships. Like, I want to have a solid foundation. That's important to me. And it doesn't happen if I'm not honest with me and those around me. It doesn't happen like that. So I'm really working to do everything in my power to address anything that needs to be addressed, to open doors for communication, and to not bring baggage into my marriage, right? Um, so as I was doing it, you know, I had written this message. I started thinking about my past year, the past year of my life. And I'm sorry, y'all. And I'm not through with conversations or, any of that by any stretch of the imagination, but there were just some things that I just needed to say that I otherwise might have avoided saying just to keep peace, right? Um, but when I was looking at my life, I realized that I went through a lot in the past year. And for me, the fact that I survived it as well as I did is a major accomplishment for me. Um, did I make missteps along the way? I absolutely did. Did I make bad choices along the way? I absolutely did. But I tried to do the best I could with what I had. And the truth of the matter is, I had limited emotional resources. My whole world got turned upside down. And I was on the verge of a major breakdown. And I'm grateful I had some people around me who held me up during that time because, like, I went through a major depression after losing my daddy. You know, um, I wanted to die. I felt like it just would be easier if I didn't wake up. And yet God knew. And he sent my daddy into my life to give me hope, to give me a willpower to push through. And maybe you've never been at that place. Maybe you've never experienced that. But I'm thankful because I'm gonna tell you something. Hey, RJ. There were many times when I had to call on RJ because I was on the verge of just a major break. And he just was there, you know, to listen, to say, okay, so what are we gonna do about this? How are we gonna address this? My brother, Pastor Rick, my sister, Apostle Tammy, like they were there when I literally was at my lowest. And so they saw it. They saw it. They saw me going through. They saw me trying to push. They saw the stuff that you all didn't see. And you all saw some of it. But there was stuff that you didn't see. You didn't see how bad it was. And um yet God in his infinite wisdom did the heavy lifting. And he brought my daddy into my life. And my daddy saved my life. He really did save my life. And when I look back over the past year and how much I've grown and how many wounds have been healed as a result of our relationship, I'm grateful for every step of my journey. As they said, we listen to God's voice concerning you, and they do. They do. That's why you got to have people in your life that hear God when it comes to you and how to deal with you and how to handle you. You got to have those people in your life, because everybody can't handle your breakdown. Everybody can't. Everybody can't handle you when you're at your lowest, because some people will take that opportunity to try to destroy you, or to use it to prove, oh, see, they're not as strong as they act like they are, or whatever. Like, I'm telling you, you got to have people in your life that hear God when it comes to you. And one thing about me, I hear God when it comes to people I'm connected to. It means that I'm going to make a phone call if I need to make a phone call. I'm going to do something for him if I need to do something for him. I'm going to move heaven and earth to do what I need to do. Like, I hear God when it comes to my daddy. I hear the voice of God as it relates to my daddy. I hear the voice of God as it relates to my daddy. RJ said, super proud of your journey, waiting on this next book. Oh, God. Oh, God, RJ. But listen, y'all, God had already told me some stuff. He had told me that my daddy was going to be key to my husband. Being with my daddy was going to be key to my preparation for my husband. The last one, the one that's it. And I'm so grateful, 188, that I listened to the voice of God and took a chance and took a risk. I went to go stay with a man that I had never met in person, because he made me make sense. He made me make sense in a world where I felt like I don't look like these people. I don't act like these people. I don't understand why I'm so different. Why am I so different? Why is it that I'm wired so I want more and I believe for more? Why do I have such expensive taste, right? Like, why am I like I am? Why am I so big on this and so big on that? Like, why am I like that? My daddy made me make sense. My daddy made my world come together. So I became a little girl. Like, I became the 5-year-old me that really just wanted my daddy to say, I'm proud of you. I love you. Oh, my baby is so beautiful. You're so smart. Like the things that I always wanted to hear. The tragedy is that not hearing that at 5 resulted in me spending the rest of my life in relationship with men, looking for that, waiting for that, wanting that, settling for less than I deserved, because I just didn't feel like I deserved it. And so now, to be in a place where I've been able to process through that, I've been able to work through that and get to a place where I can understand my worth and my value and not settle for any less. Like, to know what I deserve and then to receive it is overwhelming. To receive it is overwhelming. Like, I'm finally getting all the things that, I desired, but I didn't get because I settled. And God used my daddy. God used my daddy to prepare me. Being with him serving me, him bringing me a cup of coffee every morning, me being able to spend time with him, me being able to talk to him first thing in the morning, to just him here to say, good morning, baby. Daddy loves you, meant everything to me. I literally took a journey and grew up in the 4 months that I was with my daddy. Like, I literally had to like go through these different stages, right? Like, just like I would in childhood. I went through every one of those stages with my daddy. And finally, having my biological father did something for me. And it doesn't take anything away from my daddy who raised me. He did the absolute best he could. But I needed my daddy. I needed that DNA connection. And it changed the game for me. I know, RJ. I know. Y'all. And I get it. I disrupted everybody's life. I disrupted everybody's life. I disrupted all these relationships. I disrupted everything. Just my presence disrupted. I just invoked all kinds of chaos and confusion and emotions, and people were triggered, and all of this stuff happened because I showed up. Just my presence created all of that. That was not my intention. I just wanted my daddy. That's all I wanted. Y'all, you think that you look at people's lives, and you guys have been watching my journey, and you've been watching what God has been doing in my life. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, the behind the scenes of my life is a lot, and I deal with a lot, and I carry a lot. And I try to stay positive and encourage other people and to inspire and empower. I try to do all of that in the midst of dealing with what I'm dealing with. But today, listen, the mask is off, and I'm just sharing with y'all from my heart, because I feel like if you all have been watching me any period of time, then you ought to know some things about me based on, because I'm not different. I'm not different here than I am in real life. Like, people who know me in real life, like, that's V. That's not me. That's how she is. That's who she is. That's how she shows up. My kids used to tell me all the time, Mama, you too nice to people. You care too much for people. And then they use you and they mistreat you and they discard you. And it has been my life. That's been my life. The people I've done the worst, the most for, are the people that treated me the most, the worst. So this is my repayment season. This is my season of reparations, where God is repaying me for all the lives that I've sown into, all the people that I helped. Then they spit on me and gave me their arse to kiss and acted like I was nothing and nobody, and I never did anything for them, and I just was totally in this for me. Listen, I'm quick to tell y'all, I'm not saying this just for me. People who know me know that. They're like, oh, Dr. B, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for doing this for me. And I'm like, girl, I'm not just doing this for you. I'm doing this for me too. I'm getting something out of it. I don't want you to be acting like, oh, I ain't getting none of that. No, no, no. That's not what this is, right? Even if it's just that I feel good as a result of it, like, I'm getting something out of this. So know that there is some mutuality in this. It's not me just, being self-sacrificial and all that. I'm talking about that. That ain't what this is. And that's important to me. It's important to me for people to understand that even this, what I'm doing right now, is my therapy. It's my therapy. This ain't just for you. This is for me. Because guess what? When I'm talking to you, God is talking to me. God will literally have me say stuff so that I can hear it come out my mouth, so that he can speak it to me. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you, God. Mr. Oscar is a beast of a man. To watch that relationship grow was amazing. RJ, and I'm so glad you got to be a part of it, because you got to see. You got to see all of it. And you guys, depending on how long you've been following me, have seen some of that too. Y'all have watched the relationship between my father and I grow. You've watched us and how much we are alike and how much we affirm one another. And that's a lot for people, right? Like, it's a lot. Two of us is a lot, right? But I tell you, it's like I would do it just like this all over again, 1,000 times, to have him in my life. 1,000 times. I would go through it. 55 years of not knowing him and then having him. I would go through it 1,000 times. That's how much that man means to me. 1,000 times. It wouldn't matter. I would go through it 1,000 times, because I love my daddy. And I'm so grateful that God kept him here so that I could experience him. I'm glad he went through everything that he went through. I'm glad that he survived it. I'm glad for every lesson he learned. I'm glad for every mistake he made. I'm glad for every bit of it, because I love my daddy. I love my daddy with his imperfect self. I love that man. I love him. And I would take anything for him. You couldn't give me anything and say, oh, if I give you this, you just stop dealing with your daddy. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Angel said, that's a whole conversation, just my presence. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stacy said, you're very loving in person and online. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. Angel said, I connect. Thank you. Your realness in your journey has helped me tremendously. What I didn't know is I was preparing people who were going to have to go through a similar journey to mine. I didn't know that. But I was. That's why you can't think it's just about you. It's always bigger than you. It's bigger than you. Everything I go through is bigger than me. Everything that happens in my life is not just about me. Catherine said, your harvest season. Yes, it is my harvest season. But I wanted to share with you all because we're 9 days from my I do. And the one thing that I want to make sure of as I prepare to say I do is that I deal with anything that I need to deal with so that I don't bring it into my marriage. This is it. This is my last time doing this. So I want to make sure that I do the due diligence. We've been doing premarital counseling. I want to make sure that I deal with me and my stuff and my triggers because I'm tripped up and triggered up in the process. I want to make sure that I'm being real with me. Y'all, this is not about putting on a show for anybody else. This is about me being real with me. You all just get to witness it, but it's about me being real with me. It's about me being real with my pain. It's about me being real with feelings of rejection. It's about me being real with feelings of abandonment. It's about me being real with feelings of not being accepted, liked, or loved, and identifying those things and addressing those things and meeting those needs in healthy ways and killing the lies that our saboteurs tell us about us, that keep us stuck in cycles that never allow us to progress beyond where we are because we can never grow beyond it. Shannon said, yep, I was only a week or so behind you during the healing season. Thank you for your love. Oh, baby, you are so welcome. Corey said, thank you for all you do. Love you. I love you too. Y'all, look, you don't know what people are going through. And that's why it's so important for us to be careful in how we handle each other. We just have to handle each other in love. Handle each other with care, empathize with one another. I try to empathize with people. I try to understand why people feel the way they feel, right? I give everybody a right to their feelings. Everybody has a right to their emotions, to what they feel, right? To their perspective. Even if their perspective is off, they got a right to view things how they view things. But can we clear it? Can we clear it up? If what you're perceiving is not accurate, can we clear it up? But we can't do the heavy lifting. We got to let God do the heavy lifting. What I know is this. When I get married on February 11th, I will have had the conversations that I need to have with family members on all sides. I will have addressed the stuff that I need to address so that I don't drag it into my marriage because I got a whole nother family that I'm now going to be a part of. And the truth of the matter is, we're going to have some stuff there. We just will. My presence there will trigger stuff. It will disrupt stuff. It'll create issues. Like it just will. It's a part of life. I just want to be able to focus my energy so that I can address what needs to be addressed and allow God to do the heavy lifting on those things that I can't change. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful that God blessed me with a man who knows how to love me, who knows how to love me the way I need and desire to be loved. I'm glad that God prepared me for him when I was with my daddy. I'm glad that he taught me how to navigate those saboteurs or those. Listen, I'm telling you, those two men have a lot in common. That's what I'm going to say. They have a lot in common. And so God prepared me for my husband with my daddy. My daddy was my preparation, you know, in learning how to talk to my daddy and learning how to deal with my daddy and learning how to handle when my daddy, was overwhelmed or anxious or, helping him to step out of his comfort zone and try new things or um, to explore more of the world, um, just how challenging that can be. Learning how to love a stickler, you know, somewhere who thinks that everything has to be done a particular way and that's their way and their way is the only way and their way is the right way. And I get it because I too have to deal with the stickler saboteur, you know. I have the same things, you know, so I get it. I just am actively, consciously killing them. But I know that God's handprint is all over my life. And this is the next thing. Y'all, I told y'all yesterday, I said, listen, you know, we got to begin to repair breaches. Even if you feel like you're right, even if you feel like you're justified, sometimes you got to apologize. You got to repent, even if you don't necessarily feel like you necessarily did anything, right? You still got to do it. And you may say, because I ain't going to lie to y'all, that ain't me. I don't want to do that. Apologize for what? I didn't do nothing. If I did something, I can apologize. Okay. I know I did this, da 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 da. But if I didn't do nothing, apologize for what? I'm not. God said, you'll apologize to anybody I tell you to apologize to. You'll ask for forgiveness from anybody that I tell you to ask for forgiveness from. And I don't care what you think about what you did or did not do. That's not what matters. What matters is what they perceive that you did or did not do. That's what matters. Well, okay then. That's humbling. That's humbling. And for someone who doesn't like being wrong, who doesn't like being corrected, who doesn't like asking for help, who doesn't like asking for forgiveness, it's a lot. But if I can't do this now, what am I going to do in my marriage? Because there are going to be times when I may be right, but I still got to apologize. There are going to be times when it's not done my way, but I still got to go with it. All of those things are realities. So if I can't do it now, how in the world do I think that this will be the last time? Y'all, just do your part in this journey. That's all God wants is your part in this journey. That's it. He didn't say get it all right. He didn't say it'll all be perfect. He didn't say everybody will understand. He didn't say everybody will like you or everybody will love you or even everybody will accept you. He didn't say everybody will understand you. None of those things were promised. But if you can appreciate the gift of the journey, no matter what it looks like, then God can be glorified in it. I'm grateful for my journey and everything that it looks like, and all the things that have gone right and all the things that have gone wrong. I'm grateful for all of it. And nothing is going to go to waste. I refuse to allow it to go to waste. All you can do is do your part and let God do the heavy lifting. Some lifting is heavy because people have heavy stuff in their hearts, in their minds, in their lives. It's heavy. It's not your job to deal with all that, to fix all that. It's not your job. It is your job to love. It is your job to be empathetic, to show compassion, to show grace, to show mercy. That's our job. If all I can do is model having difficult conversations, if all I can do is model giving love, that's all I can do. I'm not responsible for anything else. And I release myself from the responsibility of heavy lifting and the lives and the hearts of other people. It's not my job. What I will do is my part. I'll do my part. Whatever that looks like, whatever God says that is, I'll do my part. And I encourage you to do the same. Stop carrying the weight of the heavy lifting. Just do your part. Listen, my prayer is that as people, that we will be more compassionate to one another, that we would think about the impact of our behaviors, our words, and our actions on other people. 1313. And we'll know and understand um we'll know and understand that it is a journey and we don't always get it right, and it's okay. But that we'll keep going, keep living, keep doing life, and keep loving one another. So many times our families are so dysfunctional that we don't even realize they're dysfunctional until we see something else, right? I don't know about you all, but I can remember going to people's houses and being like, oh, people do that. Like I didn't know that was a real thing, right? Because you've never seen it, you know? If your parents are still living, love them. And as much as it's possible within your power, be at peace with them, make amends, forgive. I'm not telling you that you got to forget, but forgive. Show them grace and mercy. And remember, just like you got your stuff, they have their stuff. And their stuff was rooted in the stuff they experienced or didn't experience with their parents, and so on, and so on, and so on. Everybody's just doing the best they can with what they have. Release that. I'm I'm getting off here. Tomorrow is my bridal shower. Women, you're invited. I'll post the flyer. It's going to be on Zoom, so you're welcome to come. And please don't be in my inbox talking about you didn't get a personal invitation, because I'm not really sending out personal invitations. It's too many people I'm connected to that I'm going to forget somebody and somebody going to be in their feelings. Like I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So just know this is your personal invitation from me. Okay. You are invited to the bridal shower tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's for women only. Men, if you want to send a gift, you can. The registry is on there. We're registered at Amazon. That's all we did. We didn't do any others. We just did that one. You don't have to give a gift to come. You know, if you just want to come and celebrate and participate with us, you're welcome. Listen, y'all, don't be on the BS. Please don't be on the BS. You know, I just want to celebrate this time. I want to, embrace this time. And while it would be great to have everybody participate, everybody ain't gonna participate, and it's okay. The life will go on. The world will still revolve. Everything will still keep going. It'll be okay. Um, but you're invited. If you want to sow a seed, you can sow a seed at Cash App $DRV Walters, Cash App $DRV Walters, or PayPal.me/DRV Walters. You all, my prayer is that you would have an amazing, incredible, and epic day, and know that God wants to do heavy lifting. He wants to do that. But there's a part that you play. Just play your part. That's it. And let him do the heavy lifting. I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Be blessed. Mwah.